Alright, well we're up and going this morning, and it is raining this morning, but it's supposed to clear up pretty quick. But we're still in the little town of Colby, and we spent the night here so that we could get up and go to this museum. It's the Prairie Museum. So we're about to head in. Here's a little clip of the indoor space of inside this museum. Just lots of, things from the history of the county, and lots of collections of, old toys and furniture, and just a lot of collectibles. I could stay here all day reading about all of this stuff. It's just fascinating. So we moved to the outdoor area of this museum. And so there's just a bunch of little houses and different things like that out here. So the first little house here is just a typical, it said 1930s farmhouse. So I've already walked through the house, but I'm at the back of the house right now, walking back to the front. And so from the back door, you just got a little mud room here. And then we've got the kitchen right here. Pantry over here. And the next room is the little dining area. And got a couple of bedrooms off of here. And then the bathroom. It's a pretty big room for a bathroom. Cracks me up that they have to tell people not to pee in the potty there. We got another bedroom off of the dining area here. And then to the front of the house. And another bedroom up here. And then out the front door. So here's that 1930s farmhouse, the back of it. And then they have an outhouse back here, even though they did have a bathroom on the inside. And then there's the barn back there, and they were saying when they would build on these homesteads that they would build the barn first, and they would live in the barn while they were building the house. So our next building here is a one-room schoolhouse, and they've got some playground equipment next to it there. Just a little clip of the inside of the schoolhouse here. So the next little building here is a church. This is was a Presbyterian church, and it says that the congregation still does hold events at this church. Here we are inside of the church, and there is a rope that you can pull to ring the church bell. So here's what it looks like on the inside. Very cool. Here's a whole display of tractors and other farming equipment out in the field out there too. All right, so we're about to go into the sod house. This is the one that we're really most excited to see. If you notice, there's cactus growing on the roof. So let's go inside and take a look. So we're about to go in, but I just want to do a little video so that we really can see a good close-up view of the sod. They said that each one of these sod bricks weighed about 50 pounds, and they would place them upside down with the grass side pointing down when they were placing them. So we came inside to see the inside, and we're surprised to see that the walls were plastered, and they said that that often they would do that, or they would put newspapers up on the walls. And so also, this is unusual that it was a wooden floor. Usually it was not a wooden floor. This particular house was actually recreated in 1984, it said. So anyway, this is what it looks like on the inside. Yep. So as we stepped back out and looked back, we're just thinking about the fact that, you know, this particular sod house was built 40 years ago. If you look on the upper right-hand side of the house, it's starting to erode over there. You can tell that it's like swollen looking almost over there. And then as you come over to the left side, you can see they put some boards up, so I'm guessing that it's needs a little more support there. And then that little thing that looks like a sled in the front is the sod cutter that they would use to cut the sod. And they said that they would only cut as much as they would use in a day. They would cut it, and they'd have to keep it watered while they were pulling it up or putting it up on the house. So this is the largest barn in Kansas, and I flubbed up the video showing the outside of this barn, but here's a picture of it. And it was built for Foster Farms, and I'm trying to remember now how long ago it was. I think it's over 100 years old though. But what was amazing to us is this thing is so huge, and and this is not where it originated. It was on a farm somewhere, and they picked it up and moved it to this location. It took them 3 days to get it to this location. I just can't even imagine the logistics of, you know, having to remove, you know, signs and light poles and things like that to move such a large structure. That must have been really amazing to see while that was happening. So anyway, in the next clip, we'll go inside the barn. Well, we're walking up to the barn, and look at that, there's barn doors on this barn. So here's what it looks like when we first walked in. Looks like we're gonna have a bunch of displays in here also. So we've looked through the bottom of this barn, and things we noted was, you know, this barn is almost 100 years old, and it's amazing how good the wood still looks. It's something else. And then also just, you know, reading all these things about what it was like to be a farmer back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And in my mind, I was just thinking about how it seems like it would be easy to farm out here because the land is so flat, and, you know, there's not a lot of trees and stuff to work around, but the weather is what makes farming here so hard because it was so unpredictable during the growing season. So they just really had to experiment with a lot of different types of things to see kind of what worked here. Learned a lot in this little section here. So we've come upstairs of the barn, and holy moly, this thing is huge. And look at the ceiling. Oh, this is amazing. So we are up on the second level, and, you know, seeing the barn doors there, and which I guess they probably just stacked hay from the floor to the ceiling in here. And look at that ceiling, by the way. Actually, let me go up and show the top of the ceiling. All that wood. But amazingly enough, in addition to that second floor barn doors, there's actually barn doors up near the ceiling. So that's why we're thinking they probably just stacked hay from the floor to the ceiling. And then in addition to that, there's all these little boxes that go down to the first floor. And so maybe we're thinking, you know, I guess heat would come up through there maybe from the bottom floor, but then also maybe they threw the hay bales down to the bottom floor from here. I don't know. This is just amazing. So our time here at the Prairie Museum is finished. I think we spent about 2 hours here or so. And this was a wonderful museum. I would highly recommend that for anybody coming to Colby, Kansas. All right, so it's 11:22 and we are leaving Colby, Kansas, heading west towards Denver. And our next little stop, it will be in Goodland, Colorado or Kansas? Oh, I don't even know. I think it's Kansas still. Goodland, Kansas, in about 35 minutes. Oh, and this is another world's largest. So we'll see what world's largest they have in Goodland.